Alright, in this video, we're going to cover how you can use the word import feature that's built into the Modern Requirements for DevOps SmartDocs module. Alright, so this is a preview feature that is available to people with an Enterprise Plus license or available on any of our evaluation servers. So if you're evaluating Modern Requirements right now, you can use this feature as well. So let's get started. The way that word import works is it's going to identify the different levels of a document based on the headings that you're going to use. Now, as you provide a level of a document with a heading type, you're going to be able to parse that information as either a work item or a property. So what does that mean? Well, let's think about an example document you might have. You might have a document that has something like your introduction, and that might be a heading 1. Inside of that introduction, you might click enter and you'd be creating a paragraph. And that paragraph can contain the content for our introduction, which might be something like, hey, look, this is my introduction. All right, perfect. Now we might have another part of our document and it might be our overview. And again, this might be our heading 1. And inside of our overview, we'll click enter and we'll say, this is my overview. Good for me. All right. And we might have another one of these that's for our scope. And again, that could be a heading 1. And inside of it, we can have take a look at this great scope description property. I'll explain that in a second, but that's good enough for our example here. All right, so we've got our context elements, and that's good. We're building up the context of a document so that when anybody reads this document, they'll be able to see what is it about? What's the introduction, the overview, and the scope. Now, we might also have a section that says requirements, go here. This also might be like a section that says system requirements, and it too might be a heading 1. Now, inside of our requirements go here section, we might actually place our requirements. So we may place requirements such as an epic or a feature or a user story. And let's do that. Let's stay to the agile methodology and we'll say inside of this part of our document, we're going to add in our epic. All right, so we'll add in our epic. Now, when we bring in an epic, it'll have epic name is this. That's the name of our epic. And we can go ahead and we can highlight the whole thing. And let's go ahead and make it a heading 2. All right. And then underneath of this epic is going to be able to be collapsed. And we want it to have, the features and the user stories for this epic. So let's go ahead and make a new level. We'll say feature for the above epic. And we can highlight this whole line here. And we'll do heading 3. All right. So we're kind of building up a hierarchy, but it makes sense, because this epic is going to contain a bunch of features. So when we collapse that epic, we should see all the features disappear. So we're building up this hierarchy, and again, we're using heading 1, then heading 2, then heading 3 to build that hierarchy for us. So let's go ahead and add in one extra level of the document, and this will be our user story for the above feature. Awesome. So now we have our we have our epic at heading 1, so we can say, is this, and we'll put heading 1 beside it just so we can remember that. This is heading 2, and for our user story, say this is heading 3. All right. Now, in our user story, let's add a description for it. We could also add an acceptance criteria, whatever we want to put under this user story. For right now, I'll just add the simple, the description for this user story is this. Look at it, go. Perfect. So if you have a document that already subscribes to the structure, that's really good. And I'm going to show you how you can take this and import it into SmartDocs as a SmartDoc and therefore create work items for each of these work items you have inside of it, right? Epic, feature, and user story. So how do we do this? Well, let's go ahead and save our document. We'll go File, we'll say Save As, and I'm going to call this my new testing document. All right, we'll save it my word import feature, and we will hit Save. And we'll keep it open. So we have our new testing document there, but what we want to do is import it into SmartDocs. So I'm here in my project, and I'm in the SmartDocs module, and I go New, Word import. And Word import has two pieces. It's got that ability to upload a Word file, so we'd choose the file and choose our new testing document we just created. But we'd also have to apply a rule set. And the difference is you're going to import your Word file as you created it, and your rule set is going to parse through that document and split it into work items and properties. Now, some rule sets already come with modern requirements, but I want to show you how you can build your own rule set. All right. So we have a sample rule set document that you can find on our website. You'll see the link actually above this video. And when you look at the sample rule set that we have, there's a few things to keep in mind, right? So when you're building or importing a document rather, you're going to be importing things like your introductions, your scopes, your overview, things that you wouldn't typically think would be work items. So what we allow you to do is we allow you to use the section work items that are in all of the modern requirements process templates, and you can add this to your own if you need it. And those section work items are local to your SmartDocs only, which means when you're creating a SmartDoc by importing, you're able to do so and keep those introductions, scopes, and overviews local to that individual document, all right? But what that means is if we look at our Word document, we've got our introduction, we've got an overview, and we've got a scope. Good. So we can actually import these as section work items, and again, just keep those in the document. And if we look at it, it's made up of a title and a description about that, right? We have our introduction, which is our title, and the paragraph inside is our text or our description. So let's go back to our sample rule set, and we can see that it works like this. I've got heading 1 is going to be the work item type section, all right? And when it pulls in this heading 1, anything that I've written as a heading 1 is going to be my property of title. And that property type is a string, but we don't have to worry about that for right now. So the heading 1 is going to be my title, and that's going to be, again, that introduction, overview, and scope. So it'll find those and make them section work items. And then what about the text inside of it? Well, that's a paragraph as far as Word is concerned. So the next line says, inside of any heading, find any paragraph work items, or paragraph pieces of that Word document, and make them my description of that work item. All right? So we have our heading 1 is going to be our section, and then any paragraph directly underneath of it is going to be our description for that section, okay? So then what about the heading 2s we find? Well, this means that if it finds a heading 2 somewhere in our document, it's going to turn that heading 2 into whatever work item type we want. Now, since I'm following the Agile methodology, I'm going to go ahead and replace these number signs here with my highest level work item, and that's going to be my epic, all right? Now, why did I do that? Well, if we go back to our document again, recall that I said requirements go here. This is going to be that section. That's a heading 1. And actually, this epic is a heading 2. This is a heading 3. And this is a heading 4. Sorry, we got that wrong. But we know that our epic is inside of that heading 1, and it's a heading 2. So we want to find this heading 2, and we want to map it to our epics. All right, so we see heading 2. Work item type is epic, it's going to be our title. Now any heading 3 under a heading 2, what is it going to be? Well, we want it to be our features, right? Because in Agile you have epics and then they become features, they break down into features, and then your features break down into user stories. But right now we have heading 3, go back to our document. This feature is a heading 3, so it'll get mapped accordingly in our rule set. And then underneath we have our user story, and that user story is a heading 4, and we have a paragraph under that user story. So if we go back to our sample rule set, we see under any heading 3s, if there's a heading 4, map it to a user story. And what we can say is that any paragraphs underneath of that individual user story should be mapped to the description field. And that's all we have to do. So all I had to do is just change the name of these 3 work item types, because my document already aligns with the rule set. So what can I do now? Well, I can file and save as for this rule set. We'll save it in the same folder. We'll call this our new testing rule set, and we can hit save. And so now what we can do is we can actually go back to our project, and inside of our project we can actually choose the file and the rule set because we've created them both. So we can say the file to be imported is the new testing document. All right, and we see our file brought in here. And our rule set file is going to be one that we upload from the same folder, and it's going to be our new testing rule set. So there's a little bit of an issue. This says .text. One thing we have to change before we apply a rule set is we got to change the extension type that's applied. So we can go ahead and change this to .wirule, and that's the rule set we're going to create. We'll simply hit yes, we want to change it, and it'll work fine when it comes in. So we'll hit open, and then we'll apply our rule set. And we can see that it parsed the document correctly. We have our section title, right? Our section descriptions. We get down to where our requirements go, and because our requirements go here is a heading 1, it's going to bring that in as a section. So it's basically a label. Then underneath that we had our heading 2, and there's our heading 2, which is going to be our epic. Our heading 3 is going to be our feature. Our heading 4 is going to be our user story, and that paragraph underneath of it is going to be our user story description. So we can simply hit import. We'll use the basic template, and we'll call this whatever we want. New imported doc will be fine. We'll hit OK. And there is our document brought in for us. Okay, so we see the type is turned on, our document view is turned on, so we can see we built a bunch of sections. And we have our epics, features, and user stories. And we can now double click on a user story and edit that description field however we want directly from our project. So here we can see that our descriptions popped up, and we can continue to add content, right? And when we save this, we can also open up the actual work item, and we'll see in the description field all of the things that we've imported, as well as everything that we've added.